Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we will take a look at the 13 heroes and what we do know about them. But before we do so, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel and for choosing this topic. Now, first and foremost, we have to take a look at the timeline of Overlord. While the slain theocracy dates back at least 600 years, the 13 heroes were formed 400 years later, or 200 years before Ainz Ooal Gown. And they weren't the only legendary figures who left their mark on this time. One could even say that they were merely the reaction, the answer to the invasion of the evil spirits, who like a white bolt of lightning came seemingly out of nowhere. And while many of today's onlookers are left blinded by the darkness the theocracy spread in the aftermath, it is at least certain that the evil deities created the storm of events that required the 13 heroes to take action. And since both the 13 heroes and the evil deities became active 200 years ago, and since every 100 years new players, or rather world items and apparently whatever is next to them, are introduced into the new world, we can speculate that the arrival of the players and the appearance of the evil spirits were connected. And in fact I would say that maybe these evil spirits were just NPCs, or random spawning monsters, or a mix of the two above, that just happened to be sucked into the new world, and were now attacking everything in their proximity. And therefore, as mentioned before, the 13 heroes were formed as a reaction to these intruders, or rather they might have been formed by the slain theocracy, or even more likely Platinum Dragonlord, in order to halt the evil spirits. And considering that the theocracy and Platinum Dragonlord are somewhat involved into the events that were yet to come, the latter becomes a lot more likely than the former. I also have to briefly touch upon the scale of these events and the destruction that the evil spirits caused, for they destroyed many nations, and at least severely injured many more. For example, we know that the capital city of the Dwarven Kingdom was sacked and destroyed by an invading evil spirit, so it was a world-shattering event that required swift and immediate action in order to halt it. And again, as a response, the 13 heroes formed, and we actually know about some of these brave souls that joined them. For one, Evil Eye was a member of the 13 heroes and survived until now. And the same applies to Rigid Bearskaru, the person who beat her in a fight and made her join Blue Roses, allowing her to retire. Platinum Dragonlord in his armor, or rather his armor as Rikuar Ganeer, had also joined the party. The Dwarven King and Runecraftsman were also a member of this party after the attack on his realm, and therefore he left the Regency Council behind to rule in his name, which they did even 200 years later. The Black Knight, with his legendary Swords of Darkness, was also a member of this team, and so was an air giant and a mysterious assassin called Izanja, whose name also became that of the assassin organization where Tia and Tina originally hailed from. And even a member of the High Elf royal family also joined the group. And perhaps most interesting, among this team apparently 2 human players could also be found. And during her talk with Climb, Evil Eye also enlightens Renna's pet that, while he is a talentless nobody, the player that would later lead the 13 heroes started out as the weakest member of them, and over the course of the journey became the strongest. And Evil Eye attributes this ability of the players to become this strong to his strict training regime of 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, just kidding. Evil Eye attributes it to his race, a player, which again shows that she's not the most reliable source for information about them, but it also illustrates that even a weak player has the potential to become monstrously strong in the new world, albeit during a time where evil spirits, aka higher than average level opponents, invaded the place. And we also have a certain scaled somebody for scale, because Platinum Dragonlord's armor had also been a party member. So we can therefore assume that if the leader of the 13 heroes the human player can surpass the armor of Platinum Dragonlord, someone who at this point had at least hundreds of years of fighting experience, then he should at least be over the level of 80 and most likely in his 90s level-wise. And fun fact, he was also accompanied by another player, whom the leader of the 13 heroes battled, defeated and killed. And according to Platinum, this event traumatized him enough that he refused resurrection. Though it also has to be said that Platinum thought about killing off one of his closest friends, quote-unquote friends, Ainz Ooal Gown, in order to secure Ainz Ooal's armor for himself. So given the fact that Platinum has considered whether or not he should kill the guy that just had risked his life for him, one could perhaps speculate that this admiration for the player of the 13 heroes and his judgment that this player was generally one of the good guys, despite hailing from Yggdrasil, is perhaps just a clever ruse, especially if we consider that he talked to Rigotbear's Karoo, another human member of the 13 heroes, while revealing to us, the audience, that the player of the 13 heroes refused resurrection. So perhaps Platinum was the one who killed the leader of the 13 heroes and therefore dissolved the hero association in order to limit the power of the people that followed a player from Yggdrasil. So perhaps Platinum was the one who killed the leader of the 13 heroes and therefore dissolved this hero association in order to limit the power of a player that now had a strong followership base. And while Platinum's malice and duplicitous nature towards the player that led the 13 heroes is of yet pure speculation, we know for a fact that the slain theocracy had massively influenced how the 13 heroes are viewed by the general human populace. Because, as mentioned and discussed in some of my other videos, the slain theocracy is fiercely humanocentric and it views all non-human lives as a threat to the continued existence of mankind. It's like the Imperium of Man in this regard, and just as the Imperium wouldn't admit that the Emperor of Man had some dealings with the Chaos Gods, or isn't as fond about his new title, God Emperor of Mankind, the leaders of the slain theocracy aren't exactly fond of the idea that humanoids, like for example the Dwarven King or the member of the High Elf royal family, worked together with demi-humans and heteromorphs such as for example Evil Eye, especially not under the watch and perhaps vengeful eye of Platinum Dragonlord, who remember as one of the single biggest threats to the continued existence of the slain theocracy. All while a new player becomes stronger and stronger until he approached the level, the power, the might, and perhaps even the status of one of their 6 great gods. So therefore they have retconned and rewritten quite a bit of history. For once, there were actually way more than just the 13 heroes, but I guess the 69 random people that had a grudge against this particular bunch of monsters and happened to meet each other at one point in time isn't as good and catchy of a name as the Theocracy's retconned version. And this is the second major thing they changed. All non-human species have been written out of the story or simply been redefined as humans. And because most nations around the Theocracy were burned down, destroyed, or at least severely damaged, no one could call them out for their forged history, since for example both the kingdom and the empire are less than 200 years old and were only established after the evil spirits had been defeated. But still, as the heroes that saved the New World from an incredible threat, they still have an impact even today. And in the next video we will take a look at their legacy. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching and special thanks to Bad Guy Yi, Ben C, Chrissy, Sia, Death is Mercy, Dystopia the Second, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, Chromius, Legendarius, Lelouch v Britannia with a mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Mr. Shoes, Michael R, Michael Y, O'Kill, Paddy Penton, Primus 11, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss Rug Edsmasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, and Sonnegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video. Over and out.